Bigfoot does not exist.
We're flying into a hole in the sky. There's nothing I can do to stop it. It's sucking us in.
The limits of the third dimension must be transcended by negating the forces of duality and ascending into unity.
The Creepy and Weird Podcast, brought to you by Hippie Steve.
Welcome to Creepy and Weird. I am your host. It's been too long, folks. I know I've said that I don't know how many times, but this is the longest hiatus we have taken. And yeah, without further ado, let's just keep rolling. There I go, laughing, kind of breaking the seriousness of everything. But you know, I laugh because laughter is the, you know, what do they call that? The heartbeat of the soul, I guess. I don't know. What the hell am I talking about? You know, it's just been too long since I've done this. Like, I don't. Is this a paranormal podcast, B-Mac? Or is this like life motivation? Am I gonna do, you know, Limp Bizkit soundtracks? Or my mind's all flustered. I tried doing a video like 5 minutes ago, and it just cut off right in the middle. So I'm all flustered right now. Don't miss this one bit. I do miss doing this podcast. Thus, why I'm here, if I could talk right. But, you know, we're back, baby. We're back. And, you know, let me just start one more time. Welcome to Creepy and Weird. I am your host. I am the booty shaking, ever waking, toe tapping, acid dropping. Doesn't rhyme, but whatever. Kia riding, that's true. Woo! Son of a gun. It's the best Ric Flair I could do. I could do a much better Dusty Rhodes. I guess because I'm a big fat guy and not a old decrepit, you know, I don't want to even get into Ric Flair. He's had his own issues, and, you know, I'm just not going to go there. I think he has lawyers. I don't know if he has any money, but, you know, good old Dusty Rhodes. Unfortunately, he's passed away, and, you know, this is not a wrestling podcast either, B-Mac, so I don't know why I'm talking about that. But, yes, I am Hippie Steve. I am back, and I am ready to discuss the paranormal, to embrace the absurd, to talk about the weird things of life. I'm in my new setup. Still have my flower background. Got the sun over there, actually. Got my two little placards for the big man himself, courtesy of my grandma. Background's actually courtesy of my grandma, too. You know, my grandma does reviews for Amazon, like I said, and, you know, she's always asking, what do I need? I said, you know, Grandma actually could use a really good microphone. And God bless her. She came up with these stickers. So, you know, I don't fault her. You know, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, that jabroni gives her whatever he can, which is that. So thank you, Mr. Bezos, with your ice cream and trying to fly into space. I'm sure, you know, you helping me is the last thing you want to do. You reptilian. I don't want to say anything else, but, you know, it's reptilian. It's lizards. All of them. You know, they're all lizards. They're lizards. Like Alex Jones says. But, yeah. This is kind of our reboot, folks. Believe it or not, this is kind of the 1 year anniversary since we did our first episode of Creepy and Weird. We did our first episode back on January, what's the date I have here? January 15th of 2024. God, 2024 went by so quick. I don't know what the heck happened, man. It's just like, first I'm trying to start a podcast, and then, then I stopped for a little bit, and now here we are in 2025. I don't know about you, but 2025 just sounds weird. I don't know. I was okay with 2024. 2025 sounds like really futuristic, man. Does it not? It's like, 2025. I don't know. I don't know what I'm getting at. It's a weird year so far. We are entering into, I believe, even though we might have been in this place for a long time, since the mid-1900s, the age of Aquarius, but that's up for debate. But we're definitely entering it now for sure, as far as the way things are going. Goddamn, the Zuck is on Rogan. I don't know how I feel about that one. Then you got Elon Musk. I've always been 50-50 on that guy. I didn't know really what to make heads or tails of with him. And then he starts, I'm not going to do the sign, but you know what he did. And people are saying, oh, that's just him being autistic. It's like, yeah, I know a lot of autistic people, and they're always, talking about Aryan Brotherhood and all that good stuff. I don't know what the hell that guy's thinking, and Trump's president, we missed that one. I predicted it, though. I told you Trump was going to be president. Not that I'm supporting him, but I told you that he was going to be president, so that was my prediction. Other people predicted it, too, so I'm not going to take complete blame or praise for it, but, we'll see what happens. I'm not too savvy on good old Musk. I know he has a company that's called Tesla, but if you look in the whole backstory of that, he's as much of a Tesla as, I don't know, like Gilbert was to Goldberg. If you're a wrestling fan, you know exactly what I mean, and, I don't want that guy coming after me because he might fly a rocket into my house, and yeah. Maybe this is why I stopped, because I keep going on these tangents about assholes, but I'll leave it at that for right now. I'll quit bitching about all that stuff, and hopefully 2025, I don't know if you follow Chinese astrology, but I think we're in the year of the lizard? Are we in the year of the lizard or the snake? Snake. We're in the year of the snake, I believe. And I'm a fire rabbit. I was born in 87, and if you're born in 87, you're a fire rabbit. Which kind of sounds like a naughty toy, but that's the sign in Chinese astrology, and I've been looking a lot into that, and they say fire rabbits are actually going to be having a pretty good year. So I'm hoping the year of the snake will bring me much success. I don't know. Going off on more tangents here, but it's been a while, folks. Just want to talk to you. I want to see how you're doing. All three of my fans, I hope you're watching still. And I didn't want to get back into doing this until I knew I could be consistently doing it. Like I said, I don't want to get into too many details as far as why I haven't been doing this, but part of that has been just being very, very, very sick with that virus that we all know about, the Takati virus, we'll call it that, and that really, really messed me up. I had sores on my tongue. I had pink eye for the first time in my life. I'm almost 38 years old, and I had pink eye. So, I don't know if those two things are connected, but it's just, my body went through, just wasn't right, but I'm feeling more in line now, and I'm ready to go. And of course, we got BMAC. Sorry, BMAC. I know I'm going on my tangents here. Forgot completely about you. But you are here, and it's glorious. And and the person I'm sorry to the most is BMAC, because he put so much effort into this podcast, and for me to have to stop for a little bit, I felt so sorry for him. But he took it on the chin, man. He really did. He actually asked me for permission to do some outside endeavors. And I'm like, sure, why not? Go ahead. If you want to go hook up with another podcast, maybe make some connections, knock yourself out. What I didn't know, though, is that BMAC's outside endeavors was going to be a little place called OnlyFans. How'd that work for you there, BMAC? Have you seen the talent on OnlyFans? I've done my research. I haven't paid a dime for any of it, but I've seen what's on there. What you're trying to do? You're trying to do like the bear thing? You're not a bad-looking guy, but come on, man. I wouldn't pay money to, see you. Sorry. I wouldn't pay money to see me. And it failed, right? Yeah. That's a shocker. See, what you should have done, BMAC, is you should have allowed the people that wanted to go on your OnlyFans, have them come in for free, and then charge them to get out. And then you would have made so much money. See, this is why you need me, BMAC. This is why I need you. And we're not doing OnlyFans. Screw that. I don't even know what I would do. But, that's neither here nor there. We're back, embracing the absurd on the Creepy and Weird podcast. And yeah, like I said, this is kind of our year anniversary. And I decided, what better way to do this than to kind of go back to the beginning. First episode I ever did was about the Ouija board. I went over my experiences with the Ouija board, which were quite scary. I did episode 2, which was kind of what I felt was, maybe for lack of a better term, sort of a demonic possession I was going through years later, which I felt like was correlated with the Ouija board deal. And then episode 3, even though I didn't really get into the details of how I used this process to get whatever was in me out of me, I did go over the gateway process. So I figured a good way to do this, I actually watched those 3 episodes not that long ago, just to kind of see where we were at the beginning, what we could do better. Because those subjects all on their own are great. But let's just do a little casserole here. Let's mix it up a little bit. Why don't we go over everything? And I'm sorry for anybody that's already watched that episode. That is, the Ouija board episode is actually our most popular episode. And the gateway process is the second, I don't know if it's the second most popular, but it's pretty up there. The demonic possession one, I don't know what happened there. Maybe I scared some people, but, I think this will be a good way for us to get back to the start of things. Kind of where my origin story was, because a lot of what happened with these incidents caused me to really be, obsessed with the paranormal. There was a lot of other things that happened to me that caused me to be obsessed with the paranormal, but when I had these things happen to me, it showed me that there's more to life than meets the eye. So let's get into that. Let's see exactly what happened. And yeah. So how's everybody been these past 3+ months? Is your life any better? You feeling optimistic? I think grocery prices are going down. That's great. There was that fire down in LA, and I have family that live down in LA. And I don't want to sound too, sinister here, but when I found out about fires, and especially in Pacific Palisades, I'm just thinking, all right, good for you, you reptilian, you know what. And I'm telling that to a family member who lives down there, and he's saying, hey, yeah, I live down here too. And I said, are you a reptile? Reptilian? He said, no. And I said, all right, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about those other bastards. And I know animals got hurt and stuff, and I'm not making fun of LA for what happened, but it's part of the reason why I don't live down there anymore. There's a lot of fires that happen, and there's not a whole lot of water down there. If you look up the history of the California aqueduct and all that, it's, I don't know why anybody lives down there. I'm sorry. There's a lot of water up here in the Pacific Northwest, and it's nice. Please, people that live down in LA, don't come up here to try to get our water. But that's just a little tidbit. I don't know. God, I'm getting off track here, but let's get into this subject, which, I don't know what I want the title to be. Kind of wanted to do kind of like a redux, a Ouija board thing. I'll figure out the title once I'm done with this, once I'm done watching this. Because I just talked about a whole lot of subjects. The title might be why Elon Musk is a reptilian a-hole, or why Los Angeles is the home of the lizard people, or why B-Mac's OnlyFans career didn't work out. But I don't think that's going to be the title, but I'll figure it out. Don't worry. Rest assured. I'll figure something out. So, and this is something I've said before, and I'll say it again. I got my notes here. A lot of this stuff is going to be coming from the heart, though, because this was a true thing that happened to me. And I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything as I look through my notes. If I haven't mentioned already that I have notes. Let's see here. Getting a little dead air. Sorry, we're just pretty much starting from square one, folks. So I'm going to be a little bit fumbly and bumbly, and hopefully I'll get better. My wife actually asked me for my birthday next month if I want what I want. And I told her, I said, I want a better microphone. So hopefully that will be coming to me in February so I could sound better. I mean, this microphone's all right, but I want something a little bit better. And obviously I want to get a better camera too. But you got to build it one piece at a time, as the great Johnny Cash once said. So let's get into it. I know I've been saying that, but I wrote all these notes before I even started this, and then, like I said, I did like a 5-minute intro, and then my computer went out, and I don't know. I feel like a chicken with my head cut off right now. But let's see here. Alright, I didn't miss anything, so let's just get into the story. How many minutes are we in on this? Is it 30? 17. Sorry if you stop watching, but I assure you, this is going to be a very interesting story. I might start doing clips and stuff to break it down so people that don't want to watch me be me could really get what I'm trying to put through. Because this is a 100% true story. I swear on my wife's life. My wife is pretty much the only person in this world that I care about more than I care about myself. I have a brother too. I care about him a lot too, but my wife is my life, and I swear on her life that this is a 100% true story. I'm not bullshitting you. I'm not trying to say this to get views. This is real, folks. Ouija boards, for example. I remember reading some comments when I was looking at that Ouija board episode I did last year. Or not last year, yeah. And people were saying, like, because the title was, are Ouija boards, are they real or a hoax? And you get some smart ass saying, yeah, Ouija boards are real. they exist. They don't do anything, but they do exist. And it's just like, come on, man. Do I need to hear that? Okay? I had a really fucked up experience with the Ouija board. Do I need your dumb ass coming on here saying, Ouija boards are just bullshit, man? Because I'm going to show you some things. Some things that actually happened to me recently. That, they're hair-raising. Part of that might be why I took a little bit of a hiatus too. But we'll, just let's be patient here. And let's get to it. So, and I'm not reading notes anymore. I just put that away. So this all started back in about 1994. I'm about 7 years old. My mom bought an Ouija board. And the reason why she bought an Ouija board, I believe, was because my great-grandmother had just passed away. And I think this was her way of trying to communicate with my, deceased great-grandmother. They were very close. It affected her a lot. And so I remember my mom sitting in the living room, messing with the Ouija board. And of course, when you're a kid, you want to do what your parents are doing. So I'm messing around with the Ouija board with her. And we're trying to summon the ghost of my grandma. I don't recall anything happening. I even think in the back of my head, I'm like, this is kind of weird. This is stupid. This kind of looks like Candyland or Chutes and Ladders, which is kind of a weird thing because I think they used to sell this in children's stores, but it's not a game, I can assure you. And yeah, nothing happened at that point. And my mom, I had a single mom, and she would go to work at night shifts. So I'd be home alone, and I would just dust off that Ouija board and start messing with it. And I would, I'm 7 years old. I'm not doing anything malicious. I'm trying to summon the ghosts of Abraham Lincoln and dinosaurs, stuff I'm learning about in elementary school, and nothing happened. And so after a while, I thought, okay, yeah, this is stupid. I'm not going to mess with this anymore. I'm just going to go play Mario and, I don't know, play with the neighborhood kids with super soakers. Is that what they're called? And, yeah, nothing happened at that point. And then flash forward about 2 weeks later, actually I think 2 months later, I'm in the bathroom doing my business, and I get up to wash my hands. And right behind me is the doorway, which was open. And of course, when you're at the sink, you're washing your hands, you look up and there's a mirror. Well, washing my hands, and just as I happen to glance up, I see what appeared to be my mom lunging at me, soaking wet, in a very sinister fashion. This was so real that I turned around to defend myself, only to find nobody was there. Now, this bears to be repeated. I was 7 years old. You can imagine what that's like for a 7-year-old to go through something like that. I didn't know what to think. And it's not like I could go to my mom and say, hey, Mom, I saw you in the mirror about to attack me, and when I turned around, you disappeared. Because, my mom probably would have taken me to a doctor, and they would have pumped me full of some medication, and I don't know. I don't think that would have worked out. Because I don't feel like I was crazy or anything like that. I didn't have any other experiences that were, crazy. I don't even think I had imaginary friends when I was a kid. It was very scary. It was one of the most scariest experiences I've ever had in my life, and I just kind of kept that to myself. And there was other instances that happened that, there was bed shaking at night multiple times, and I lived down in Los Angeles where there was, and this is the mid-90s, so earthquakes were happening quite frequently, and bed shaking at night wasn't a big deal, so I didn't put two and two together on that one. I would hear the whispering of my name every now and then. Steven. And I look around and nobody was there. So I always thought it was like a family member messing with me, but nobody ever came forward and said, "Oh, that was me messing with you." So never really paid too much attention to it. We ended up moving out of that apartment, and that was it. So maybe whatever I had happened to me there stayed at that apartment, and that's that. Well, flash forward now, God, 10 years later, we're talking like 2004. I had just started going out with my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, and maybe to impress my girlfriend, my mom wanted to say, "Hey, you want to mess around with the Ouija board?" And obviously I hadn't learned my lesson at that point, so we're like, okay, let's mess with the Ouija board. So we're sitting there and we're doing all that nonsense, and there was just something in the back of my mind that said, this isn't right. Don't do this. Like, there's something wrong about this. So I just got up and I walked away. I didn't even really explain myself. They're probably looking at me like, oh, why is he, pansying out on this? But I'm like, I got better things to do. I still had Mario in my my bedroom, so I went and played that probably. And I didn't think anything else of it. They played with the thing, and that was it at that time. But slowly but surely, I would start developing scratches on my shoulder. I'd wake up with them. And I didn't know what to think about that, because I didn't have scratches when I was a kid. And, it wasn't happening all the time, but it was happening frequent enough to where it was like, I don't know what this is. And I worked out a lot at that time. I was actually a gym rat. So I would, do weights, put weights on my shoulder. So I thought maybe something was scratching there, which was causing that. So still didn't pay too much attention to it. Really I don't know if you want to call it the apex, but where it really started, like rubber meeting the road, was when my mom passed away in 2016. And that really put me down a pit of despair that I could have never anticipated. Anybody that's lost a parent, especially a mom, it's a fucked up situation. And actually, let me get a drink here real quick. Wet my whistle and maybe hold back a little bit of tears. This is why I wear glasses too, by the way. And, that just, depression, anxiety, it was really bad. And while I didn't have any weird experiences happen to me at that time, I didn't have any scratches. Unfortunately, the preceding years, bad stuff would happen again. I lost my father-in-law, who was the closest thing I had to a father. I loved him. His name was Gary, and I actually found him passed away on my 30th birthday. So that was a head fuck and a half. And then other things that I'm not going to go into started happening in 2018, 2019. And I started getting into this existential crisis, which if you've ever been in an existential crisis before, it's just, it's hell. It's hell on earth. You just don't have any hope in anything. And I didn't realize it at this time, but by 2019, I had developed what's called PTSD. And I always thought PTSD was something that was exclusive to people who were in war and stuff like that. But it's traumatic experiences. And there was a lot of traumatic experiences that happened to me in a relatively short amount of time. And so I ended up taking the test for PTSD, and I forget, it's like 8 questions you have to answer, and if you get 6 of them right, or I think 4 of them right, you have PTSD, and I got 6 right. So I went, all right, I have PTSD. That's great. And it's still something I live with to this day, but, it is somewhat manageable, and this isn't about PTSD, so I'm not going to get more into that. I might make a video separately about PTSD because I think that's an important thing to talk about, especially with Army veterans and people who have survived assaults and stuff of that nature, because I do have some techniques that could possibly help you out. And PTSD is a very scary situation. God. But anyway, now we're flash forwarding to 2022. And if I thought that all this pain and grief and existential dread and all that stuff was the worst, I experienced the worst thing I ever experienced in 2022, which I'm not going to get into, but it, that light in my life just, it went away. I hear terms like divine spark, and I felt like I lost that divine spark. And when I lost that divine spark, I feel like this thing that was deep inside me that was kind of dormant, it came out in a ferocious way. It was just, I'd get scratches on my stomach, I'd get scratches on my leg, I'd get scratches on my arm. Nothing like I ever had happen before. And these were violent scratches. And they happened so frequently that I knew before a scratch would even happen that there was going to be a scratch that appeared there. I'll tell my wife, there's going to be a scratch here in about an hour. And like clockwork, it happened. And so I was freaking out. I'm going, I don't know what's going on. Like, I feel like something's attacking me, but I'm not a religious person. I'm not, I can't go to a priest, maybe a shaman, but I don't know any shamans. And I knew of this process called the gateway process, from a couple years back, and I always thought it was interesting, but I never gave it a try. And just something in my brain, that right side of my brain, that higher self said, give this gateway process a try. See what happens. Couldn't hurt. So I did that. I've talked about this in my third video where I went and did the gateway process, and I didn't get into the details as far as what I did though. This is where I think it gets very interesting with the gateway process. When you get into these certain states, you're not really in your body, you're in some other state. And when I was in that state, I prayed. I pray every day. At least I at that point I used to, and then I stopped for a little bit, but then I decided to pray again. I prayed. I don't have a deity. I pray to the universe. And I prayed, asking, get this thing out of me, because it doesn't belong in me anymore. And I repeated myself as many times as I could, get this thing out of me, because it doesn't belong in me. Send it back to where it belongs. Repeated that God knows how many times. And I swear, I felt this dark force coming out of my chest. My eyes are closed, keep in mind. And it came, I could feel it. It came like almost face to face with me. And I could feel this energy, this dark energy. It just sucked air away from me. It was like, I don't know how to describe it. It was just stale. And it was that close to my face. And each time I repeated, get this thing out of me because it doesn't belong in me. Send it back to where it belongs. I could feel something pulling it away. And I repeated it until I felt like it was gone. And then when I came out of that process, I didn't have scratches anymore. I felt better. I felt like maybe I conquered this thing. And I thought maybe that was the victory. You know, camera's up there, but, you know. But in the midst of filming, not this podcast, but the podcast from 2024, I slowly but surely start seeing those scratches popping up again. Not severe scratches where I felt like I was being attacked, but there were scratches. I remember looking at it going, you gotta be shitting me. What's going on? At that point, I'm like, am I scratching myself? And I just, to me, I think a good thing to do when this stuff happens is you don't pay attention to it. If you don't focus your energy on that, maybe it won't be as bad. That's easier said than done sometimes. But every now and then, those scratches, to this day, they still pop up. I actually had a scratch last week, and I'm going to see if I can get this on camera. I remember seeing this in the shower, and I felt it. It's not as bad as it was, but I assure you, I wear long sleeve shirts, and I don't scratch myself right there. Let's see if that could even pop up on camera. I might have Brian B-Mac. I just broke the fourth wall, brother. I might have B-Mac do a little Photoshop, or not Photoshop, but do a picture to where you can see it, because I don't think it's super clear there, but there are 3 scratches right there, which I did not do to myself. I wear long sleeve shirts at night. That wasn't me. And it's disheartening. And it's not just the scratches. I suffer from insomnia at times, and I've gotten better with that. But even recently, I had a bout of insomnia where I probably didn't sleep for like 3 days. And I'm about to doze off. And right as I'm about to get to that sleep state, I'm alone in my bedroom. I swear to God, it sounded like somebody came right up to my face and just screamed. I woke up. I looked around. I go, what the fuck was that? And there was nobody there. My wife was downstairs because she was still awake. And I almost got this sense of amusement that this thing had, that it was keeping me up. It's almost like it's trying to drive me crazy. Now, I'm not going to get in everything that I've been doing since then to try to help myself. But, there are things that I'm doing, especially praying. Praying, I don't care what anybody says, praying is a very powerful thing. Ask and you shall receive. You just have to be consistent on it. So I've been praying, just been trying to take good care of myself. I don't know what else to say on that. I am going to go back into the gateway process. I haven't completed the whole thing because, as I said in the original gateway process video, it's not wise to go completely balls deep in. But I feel like at this point I have nothing to lose. I need to get into this thing and see, what the fuck's going on. Because I got a big part of it out. But there's obviously something still in there. And this is, I'm sure other people have theories that are similar to this, but I think what we call demonic entities might be some sort of like spiritual parasitic creature. Like in this case, it's kind of like a tick. I got the whole body out of it, but that head is still stuck in there. At least that's how I feel. I don't know. But yeah, I am going to start doing the gateway again. And I'm going to try figuring out what the hell is going on. How can I get rid of this thing if that's even possible? Because, yeah, not good stuff, man. Not good stuff at all. And this, like I said, I'm shooting from the heart here. I'm not reading any more notes anymore. This is me. So believe me or don't believe me, I really don't care. This stuff's real. You know, whatever a demonic entity is, it's real. I don't know what it is, but it's there. There are spiritual forces all around us. Some good, some bad, and it's some absurd shit. I can assure you that, man. It's some absurd shit. And I'm actually going to buy another thing when I ask for my wife for my birthday. And I'm not one of those people that like mentioning, oh, it's my birthday next month. But it's just, you know, kind of as a, you know, why I'm asking it for her. Because I don't like asking for presents. But I want to ask her for the book. This I will read a note on, just so I have it right. It's a book by Robert Monroe. Let me get that up here with my notes. Did I mention I have notes? Journeys Out of the Body by Robert Monroe. I haven't read it. I've watched people talk about the stuff that he discusses in this book. And it's pretty profound stuff. And that's one thing that I'm going to start reading soon. I want to have a whole episode dedicated to that book and kind of everything about that. And not that I'm trying to, you know, capitalize on my misfortunes here, but I do want to kind of have episodes documenting what will happen to me when I go deeper into the gateway process. That's not going to happen anytime soon. This is like this process takes weeks. So I'll do other episodes in between, but I do want to do one kind of my findings and see if I can tell you people, hey, this is what happened to me, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, we got a lot of fun episodes, scary episodes that are lined up. Sorry if this wasn't a very funny podcast. I like to keep things light. When I say this is allegedly a this is allegedly a comedy podcast, obviously that's an homage to Norm Macdonald, but I do try to keep things on the comedic level. But it's also a paranormal podcast, and sometimes you can't help but to be scary when you're talking about the paranormal. And before I end this podcast, I just want to encourage anybody who's watching this who's having these issues. Please comment to me. Please tell me what you're going through. I know that this is embarrassing. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to be outed. But I'm sure maybe with your handle, nobody will know who you are. So just, tell me what your experiences are. I'd love to know. And if you don't even want to do that, there is a possibility of emailing me. I don't like sharing my email freely, but, I might make an exception. But please, because, I know I'm not the only one. All of us have paranormal experiences, whether we realize it or not. And I think this possession thing is I won't say it's very common, but, there's a decent amount of people who have had something like this happen to them. And I would love to hear what you've been through. Even if it's just a Ouija board. Tell me what happened to you when you mess with the Ouija board. If you did the gateway process, tell me what your experiences have been with that. Because I would be very interested in that. And yeah, that's about it on that end. So yeah, we are back until notified otherwise. Please, I don't know how many views this is going to get since we've been gone for so long, but we're going to, just keep keep on trucking, get as much content out. So hopefully we can build that back up and go forward with the future. I do have some plans as far as other platforms I want to do. We'll get into that later. And yeah, I mean, it's like, subscribe, spread the message, comment, like. If I haven't said that already. Sorry, it's been too long. We do have a Facebook group on Facebook. It's called Creepy and Weird. I run the whole thing. So if you want to go on there, there's other podcasters that like to promote their stuff. They have great videos. Just check us out. We're trying to build a community here. And, God, I mean, there's just so much I want to say, but there's only so much time to say it. It's already 45 minutes, and I didn't want this video to be that long, but I guess it's going to be that long. So, yeah. So, with that out of the way, embrace the absurd and free your mind, and your ass will follow. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.